that has to be in place in order for your prayer to be able to work. And really, if you really sit down to think about it very well, now listen to what I'm about to say, very controversial but very true. It will juggle your religious mind, but when you sit down, you will now realize it's the truth. Prayer does not work. It is God that works.
That's right.
Because prayer of its own accord is useless without somebody that has the power to answer the prayer. Because you've been speaking since yesterday, and speaking does not change anything except the same thing you call prayer is speaking. But now you are talking and communicating with God that has the ability to solve that problem. So everybody can pray, but only God has the ability to answer prayer.
That's right.
But when you put all your faith in prayer, instead of putting your faith in the God that answers prayer, then something goes wrong. So you now have a lot of people that have so much faith in their prayer. We have prayed. Based on the prayer we are praying. They have so much faith in their prayers, instead of having faith in the God that answers prayer.
That's the word. That's it.
Hello, somebody. So when it comes to the issue of finances, I sit down as a world Christian again. I look around. I've been pastoring now for 27 years, and I look around and I've seen people. The church I pastor now, we're in our 20th year, and there are people that have been in that church, and their life has not changed. Every year, they keep having reasons why they should not pay their tithes. Every year, they keep having reasons why they can't make a sacrifice. Oh, you know, God understands. I wish I could give. When I have money, I will give. But they never have, because you don't have until you start giving. Hello? So when it comes to this issue of vehicles, many times we are not willing to learn. And even when we learn, we are not willing to practice what we do. And even when we practice what we do, we are not willing to be consistent in practicing it. So, the man that treks will arrive last. Not because he's prayerless or prayerful. Not because he's holy or unholy. Not because there's so much witches and generational curses in his family. Not because God doesn't love him, but because he has chosen the wrong vehicle.
Yes.
And that's the way life is. We wander through life, wondering, she's not as hardworking as I am. How come she has so much money? She was not the best student in school. How come she's got so much money? But see, the real thing you need to come to think about is when you really look at life. Are you ready?
Yes.
When you look at life, are you sure you are really ready?
Yes.
The first class students are the professionals. They are first class students, so they end up in the professional market, working in the white collar jobs. Hello? The second class students end up as the entrepreneurs. They can't get the best job, so they said, let me start my own business. So they start their own businesses. The businesses grow, and then they employ the first class students.
That's right.
Hello? And then the third class students that are dropout, they go into politics or religion. Hello? So they become politicians or they become pastors. And then they now rule over both the first class and the second class. Hello? So in life, you have to sit down to ask yourself, how do I go from point A to point B? And what vehicle am I presently using? So if I'm to ask anybody anywhere, which is the same thing everywhere in the world, majority of people in the world are doing what? They are working to earn a salary.
That's right.
And guess what? If you are a salary earner, you are trekking. And that's why your journey is very far. So if you are a salary earner, you are trekking. And that's why many of you have been in America. You're either born in America or you came into America, but you've been in America for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and you're still struggling. Why? Because if you really sit down to ask yourself, you'll find that for the last 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years of your life in America, all you have been doing is working to earn a salary. And if you look around, you will see people that came into the same America or were born in the same America after you that decided not to go through the route of salary earning. They went through the route of entrepreneurship and they are far better than you.
That's right.
And now you have been so locked up in that rat race of any salary that you have become so used to it that you are not even afraid of stepping out. Why? Because you are so used to getting something every 7 days, every 30 days. So it's like, if I stop now, what if I start something? What if it doesn't work? What if it works?
Yes.
Because everyone that started had the same fear, but they went ahead despite their fear.
That's
because
right.
courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the willingness to go on despite your fears.
Yeah.
So if you want to become wealthy, there are vehicles. The first vehicle is what many of us are using. It's called paid employment.
Yeah.
Paid employment is a vehicle, but it's like trekking to the wealthy place.
Linear.
Hello? It's like what? Trekking to the wealthy place. So when you are a salary earner, yes, you are moving from Texas to Atlanta, but you are trekking. And the more you try to tell people to try to work out a way for themselves to become rich and wealthy and begin to think of entrepreneurship, the more they try to tell you, it doesn't work. If I start business, I know somebody that started business. But guess what? The company you are working for right now was started by somebody.
Yes.
What if that person didn't start the company? How would they be able to employ you? And guess what? Most of the organizations you work for right now are started by people that were younger than you when they started. Hello? Yeah. And one of the things I try to help people to understand when it comes to this issue of paid employment is when you get a job and you resume in an office, the first week or the first month you resume, try to find out how many people have been in that establishment for between 5 to 15 years. And look at the quality of their life.
That's true.
Now, if you look at the quality of the life of the people that have been in that company between 5 to 15 years, that's a prophetic picture of your future.
Oh, what a summary.
Hello? So you don't need to spend 15 years to find out how your life will end. Just look at someone you find and say, this guy will be here for 15 years and this is his life. That's your life in 15 years. The only way that will not be your life in 15 years is for you to make a different decision from what that person has made. It's not about prayer, it's not about being born again, it's not about talking in tongues.
Yes.
Hello? And that's why wealth creation issues are not issues that you toy with. That's why sessions like this are sessions for workshop. It's not for, take it, hallelujah, I'm here to let you know you are blessed. No. It's for you to sit down, think well, take note and act. So the first vehicle is what? Paid employment, and that is trekking. So if you want to arrive at the wealthy place, you need to stop trekking. Number 2, the second vehicle is very, very scarce. In our world today right now, many of us have been flying for many years, but some of you have never flown on a private jet before and may never fly on a private jet. Why? Because it's the exclusive reserve of the few. And that's what brings us to the second point. Now, the second vehicle is inheritance. But how many of you sitting down here right now can really say that if your father or your mother dies now, you have an inheritance? As a matter of fact, many of you sitting down here right now, if you get the news that your father or your mother is dead, you are in trouble. You are in trouble. That announcement, that information may set you back for the whole of this year. It may mess up the whole of 2015 for you, because the debt you will go into, you will pay it off to 2017. So many of us are used to generational curses. So your father has left something for you.
That's one of them.
They left curses and left evil. But we are not aware of what it means to enter into generational blessings. I've seen people that were nobodies today. That's why you should never look down on anybody. I've seen people that are nobodies today, and in the space of few months, they become something else. And I can give you testimonies upon testimonies upon testimonies. When I started out, there was a young man that was working from when I started out in media. He was my first TV producer, so he has these little 2 cameras. He will come to my office and then we'll do the recordings and all the stuff. And we did a lot of recording. And then after doing the recordings, this guy was struggling. And then about 1 year and 8 months later, less than 2 years later, I said, okay, let me bring this guy back because I now wanted to go into an international TV station and they needed some qualities. And because after he did the first recording, I got my own camera, trained my guys, but I was going international. And he said, look, we needed this. I said, well, this guy, I need to bring him back to come and help me. So I called him. And I said, hey, hello, how are you? He said, oh, Pastor, how are you doing? I said, well, I'm fine. I said, I'd like to see you, so can I see you in my office tomorrow? And he said, and I was like, why is he hesitating? He said, well, Pastor, is it possible for you to come to my office? I'm like, what?
Give no check.
I'm like, what? I said, what? I don't understand. He said, yeah, you know, he said, that's levels have changed. I'm very busy man right now, and I'm sorry, I can't just show up in your office tomorrow. You need to come to my office. And I'm like, within 2 years, this boy has me come. I said, okay, they say, Pastor, it's really be good for you to really come so that you can see my story. And then I went to his office maybe a few, I couldn't go to the next one, maybe a few days later. When I got to this guy's office, it was a complex. He had tens of staff. Everywhere was like, I was like, am I dreaming? And then when I finally met him, he had become this big movie producer, TV producer. He's got cameras, he's got kinds of stuff. I saw Nollywood people coming in and out. Oh, good morning, this one. So when I found out, I said, what happened? He said, Pastor, you need to know my story. He said, I didn't know my father was a rich man. He said, I didn't know. He said, because his father, in Nigeria, we have what they call this, they have sawmills where they cut wood and sell wood. So the father was an illiterate sawmiller. But as an illiterate sawmiller, he had houses that the children were not even aware of. And apart from that, he had a customer that introduced him into the stockbroking market, so he was buying shares. So he had bought Coca-Cola shares in the 60s and in the 70s. And he did not even know the value of what he had. He was just busy doing the sawmill work. So when he died, they now discovered that he had so much money. Cut a long story short, he had 3 kids. And this guy alone, just him alone, had about $2 million. And that happened about 5 months after I saw him. So for over a year now, he's been a rich man. Now, what made him to become rich? Inheritance. So within 2 years, where my office used to be, we have a dry cleaning company that was our neighbor. So I had one session, the dry cleaning company had the other session, and there was a staff in the dry cleaning company that was just a very nice guy. We all loved him. He was very jovial, always around. And then all of a sudden he told us his father died. And then we all contributed money and gave him to go and bury his father. And then he never came back, so we thought, oh, he probably doesn't have money to come back and all this stuff. And then 8 months later, 8 months, the dry cleaning man runs into my office, Pastor, put on your TV, and I'm like, put on my TV. So I put on the TV, and then there was the guy with the governor of the state opening the factory. I'm like, how does somebody move from somebody that contributing money for burial to become a factory owner in 8 months, and the governor is there? So I said, Google his name, we are going to look for you, we must get that money. So we got him. Cut a long story short, he said, went for the burial, same thing, inheritance. And they gave him an acre of land where the factory was. The father gave him an acre of land there. He decided to move there straight, built a house, started farming. He was doing this fish farming and all this agriculture. Then he joined the association. Within 4 months of joining the association, they had an election. He was chosen as the president. So he started building the factory to start doing export. And as president of the association, they invited the governor. He decided to come because it was moving towards an election period. He needed their vote, and the governor came. So a man that was working, that we had to contribute money for, within 8 months was whining and dining with the governor. Why? Inheritance. Hello? So, question. If your father dies now, or your mother dies, is there anything to inherit?
Debt.
You inherit debt or curses, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, money market. Money market. Now, money market is different from capital market, so I'll put the two of them together. Number 3 is money market. Number 4 is capital market. I'll put the two of them together and I'll explain. Money market simply has to do with investing in banks. So you have fixed deposit, you have treasury bills, and you have savings. So that's just what we call money market. Saving money in the bank, buying treasury bills, or fixed deposits. And then capital market has to do with stocks, mutual funds, and bonds. So that's another vehicle. And one of the uniqueness of this particular vehicle is the fact that when you begin to use this kind of vehicle, you are moving into an automated wealth creation level. Why? Because at this point, you are not working for money. Your money is not the one working for you. So you put your money in there, you are busy doing what you've always been doing, and then the money continues to do something else for you. So you have money market, and then you have a capital market. And now a lot of people lose money in these different kind of platforms because they don't spend time on education. It's very, very important for you to spend more time educating yourself before you put your money into something, because one of the common sense principles of wealth creation is never invest in what you don't understand. So most of the time people are moved by the testimonies and the stories of others that they don't spend time to educate themselves on that particular vehicle, and they just join the bandwagon, which is called the bandwagon effect, or the herd mentality, and then they get into trouble. And when trouble comes, they cry alone. So that's another vehicle you need to consider, either the money market or the capital market. Number 5. I'm moving fast because we have 2 sessions before we go to question and answer, and our time is going, and I want us to keep the time. Number 5 is real estate. Real estate is another very, very powerful vehicle of wealth creation. As a matter of fact, I personally consider real estate to be the most powerful vehicle of wealth creation, because it is not just a vehicle of wealth creation, it is also a vehicle of wealth retention. It helps to create and it also helps to retain the wealth. And when you look all around you, you find out that rich and wealthy people really tie their money down in real estate, because it's a very, very powerful vehicle of wealth retention. Now, whenever we talk about real estate, for those of you that are in this part of the world, you have a major problem. You have a major problem understanding the power of real estate because you are in a debt economy. So because you are in a debt economy, and because you just come out of the real estate bubble and out of the economic recession and all this stuff, whenever you hear real estate, you don't even want to get involved. Why? Because many of you cannot afford to buy real estate cash because of the kind of economy you operate in. So the thought of even buying a property cash down is alien to many of your minds. Because you only think that only superstars and footballers and musicians can buy house cash. Hello? And when you hear somebody buying a house, you're like, where do they get those kind of money? You see, you actually have the money to buy houses cash, but because you don't believe you can, you have never worked towards it. Hello? I've got lots of properties in the US and I bought everything cash. And guess what? The properties I bought cash in the US, you also have the same kind of money, but you spent it going on holiday. The same money I used to buy the house, you used to go on the family holiday. Why? Because you never thought you could buy a property cash, but you believe you could go on holiday and spend 15,000. Hello? You did wedding and you spent $20,000. Hello? But you can spend the same $20,000 buying the whole property cash, but you never thought it's possible, because as far as you are concerned, it's just not in your mindset. Now, let me take you through a journey on this real estate stuff. Now, land is cheap in America. So let me give you an history or a story or a journey of how the houses you buy, how they come into fruition. So whenever you look at the United States, for instance, okay, in Africa, if this pen costs $10, the production cost will be about $7 to $8 in Africa. Very high production cost. But in America, if this pen is $10, the production cost is probably 50 cents. Now, that $9.50 does not go to one person. There are different people in the value chain, because the system is structured in such a way that you can't do too many things at the same time. You have to choose where you belong. So you are either in production, or you are in distribution, or you are in marketing, or you are in public. So you are somewhere in the value chain. So that $9.50 is divided among all the people in the value chain. So whenever you see something of $10, the production cost is actually below $1.
That's true.
And when you have good money, that same stuff can be given to you as little as $2 if you are ready to pay cash. But because of the way the system operates, many people that are in that value chain don't pay for anything. So what do? So they buy, and they have a 60-day, 90-day payment plan, and then you have pay now, buy now, use now, pay nothing until 2016, and all this kind of stuff. And because everybody is trying to live a false life, then you have to pay false bills. But when you decide to live a real life and live with real money, you'll find out that most of what people buy for $10 you can get for $2. So when you want to become a house owner or a home owner, to be a homeowner, you tell yourself, okay, they tell you, okay, no money down, or you are 5% down, 15%, depending on whatever, and then you decide to buy a house. And they tell you this house is $175,000 US. Now, that house that they are about to sell to you for $175,000 US was actually built, both the land and the house, for less than $50,000.
That's true.
But the only reason why they are telling you it's $175,000 is because you are not paying cash. You are going to get a mortgage, and you're going to pay 25-year period. So why would I spend $50,000 building something? You're going to pay me in 25 years, and you expect me to sell it for you at 55. It's not going to happen. But if you come with cash, I've finished the building, and you show up and say, you know what, I love this building, I would like to buy it, and pay you cash. I can easily tell you, oh, wonderful. Well, it's not 175, it's 60,000. I collect my 60,000 cash, I go back, I build 2 more, and I move on. But because you want to buy the house and pay for the next 25 to 30 years, then I have to think of how to get my money over a 30-year period. So the house you are buying for 175 is actually worth between 30 to 50,000, both house and land. So what happens? So you go to the bank, and according to the mortgage law, you are not supposed to go into a home purchase where you pay more than 30% of your income on mortgage per month. So you earn $1,000, you're not supposed to pay more than $300 per month on mortgage. So what do? Now, so they have set up the trap for you, and you that want to also enter into the trap, you now become deceptive. So what do? So both you and your husband, in order to qualify for the big house, for the American dream, that is a balloon. What now happens is you also now arrange to say that you don't earn 1,000, you earn 3,000. Your husband does not earn 1,000, he earns 3,000. So you both earn 6,000. Hello? So you can afford to go for a mortgage that will cost you 1,800 per month. And then they give you that big house, and then you take picture and send it to Caribbean or send it to Africa to post to people that are more prosperous than you. And then you move into this 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bedroom house, even though you have only 2 kids. And then you have a guest room without a guest. Hello? So what happens is, you have already falsified your income to qualify. And then they now tell you this mortgage you're going to pay for the next 25 years. So you start paying. And there are few assumptions in that transaction. Assumption number 1, you will always have a job, so you will continue to pay.
She's right.
Assumption number 2, the property will continue to appreciate. Hello? Assumption number 3, somebody else will be willing to do the same thing, and the cycle will continue. So with many of these assumptions in place, everybody plugs in. And guess what happens? So you begin to pay. And then the guy at that level of collecting your money thinks, well, this is good. I've collected this money for 3 years. I don't think I want to rely on this level. I want to move to the next level. So he decides to revalue the property. And then he now tells you the property that used to be 175 is now 210 or 200 or 210. And then he says it's 210 because he wants to sell it to somebody else. And then by the time they tell you your property is worth 210, they now tell you can actually pull out an equity.
Exactly.
So you also now, you have 25 years, you pay for 4 years, and now you remortgage, pull out an equity and increase it to 27 years again. And then you pull out the equity, but because you don't have financial intelligence, the equity you pull out, you buy a new car, you travel to Africa, post to your friends that are actually your enemies, and then you travel all around, and then you buy new shoes, you buy new electronics, and then deception plus deception, everybody is deceiving themselves. And in all this equation, you don't pay tithe. In all this equation, you don't sow, you don't give to God. So God is not in the equation. You are just spending the money, remortgaging and doing all kinds of stuff, no problem. And then the man takes the new value of $210,000, and then he goes to another mortgage company and says, you know what, this guy is owing me. And he's been paying. He's a good debtor. And now he's owing me 210,000. But I want to sell this 210,000 to you. I want you to take over this liability. But because you're going to be spending another 25 years waiting for him, I'll sell this 210,000 debt to you for 150,000 cash. Don't forget the house is worth 50. It was put at 175. So they now take it to 210, even though it is still worth 50 or less than 50. And then they now collect an actual physical cash of 150,000 on a house that is not even worth 50,000. So physical money is taken for invisible money and paper money. And then on paper, the house continues to increase in value until they stretch the house to 500,000 and the house is just now worth 52,000. That's what happened, and the bubble burst. So now most of those houses that used to sell for 300, 400 are now selling for the real value, 80,000, 40,000. But you don't have any money saved up because all the money you are supposed to be saving, you are spending. You go on holiday. You go on holiday 3-4 times in a year, and then at the end of the day, when you are finally old, you don't have a retirement plan, you end up in a nursing home. So those are the kind of houses that somebody like me and some other Chinese people now come into town and buy at 20,000, 15,000, 35,000, 50,000, 80,000. And then we own it, and then we now bring you back into the house as a tenant. And you start paying rent in the house you used to own. So real estate is a very, very powerful vehicle of investment that you need to do everything you can to plug into. And one of the things we need to learn to do as Christians, that Muslims have gotten it, Asians have gotten it, Jews have gotten it, and you need to learn this. It's very, very important. Asians, Jews, they have gotten it. What do? They do what? They come together in a synergy. So if one person cannot afford it, what they do is they come together and they put money together. So if you cannot afford to buy a house for 30,000, you can afford to put down 2,000. You can afford to put down 3,000. And then you come together and you bring 3,000, I bring 3,000, and before you know it, we'll put 30, 40, 50,000 together and we'll buy one house. And then after a while, we'll do the same to buy another. Over a period of time, we form a consortium. And we're able to have chains of houses and chains of businesses, and then we continue to move our life forward. And that's why you find out that when Asians come into this country, they don't come to look for a job, they come to look for a business. When Asians come, they don't come to look for a job. They are not looking for any job, they are looking for a business. So when an Asian enters into America, instead of looking for a job, the first thing they are looking for is a franchise. They want to start a business, they want to start a corner shop, they want to start a business or a Chinese, and they start and this, take away, and then with one passport, 60 people come in and they are all living in the shop. And they are all bearing the same name. Long Li, Chong Chong, Chong Chong, Chong Chong, Chong Chong. And then they are not doing parties, they are not buying fancy cars. Hello? And they are just there, all of them sleeping on the bare floor. And after a while, they put money together, There are 10 of them. Okay, we'll labor for one person for a year. The next year, we'll labor for the next person. You go. And over a 10-year period, they are all sorted out. And then they bring in their other family. And then you get into a Chinese restaurant right now. Every staff is a Chinese. They don't even understand what you're saying. Whereas we will come into this country, the same thing they do with that is the same thing they do with building. So they come in and they become builders. Somebody's an electrician, somebody's a plumber, somebody is a carpenter, somebody is a bricklayer, and before you know it, they start a company. Before you know it, you are moving on. But you come in here, you are looking for a job. Isn't this so amazing? I go all over America, and it's so amazing that almost every African wants to be a registered nurse. And none of them is thinking of owning an hospital. Not even clinic, they are not thinking. Oh, I want to pass the exam. Pastor, pray. If I pass this exam, if I pass this exam, and I'm like, what's wrong with this people? You pass the exam and so what? You now become like, are you going up the hospital? It's so amazing that our mindset is so limited. Even though we claim to serve a big God, we don't believe in the big God that we serve. So we are not thinking big. All those that have become registered nurse looking for job everywhere, if they can just come together and start a clinic, you'll be amazed at what will happen in the next 5 years.
Yes.
You'll be amazed. But we're not really. Everybody's looking for the next job, clocking in and counting hours. And you have forgotten you are not growing young. Nobody grows young. Everybody grows old. You can pancake it, Mary-Kay it, pancake it, push it, chop it. Nobody grows young. You can dye it, shave it. Nobody grows young. Everybody grows young. Hello? And weave it, wig it, call it, color it. So real estate, somebody say real estate. Are we getting something?
Yes.
Okay. Number 6, businesses. Start your own business. Start your own business. Entrepreneurship is a very powerful vehicle of wealth creation. You know, no matter how long you spend in another man's company, no matter the title they give to you or the designation or the prefix before your name, you can't actually hand it over to your children. I hope you know you can be a general manager, senior manager, country manager, area manager, foreman, supervisor, assistant supervisor, deputy manager. You have all kinds of names. We had so many people here yesterday night. They are not here today. Why? They are in the office. They are going to work. They have to work. They've got bills to pay. But if you are the owner of your company,
Call the shot.
you'll be here. Because guess what? The value we are using right now belongs to somebody. And they are not on break.